Let's see how we can make bigger enemies.
To be offended or frightened of everything.
So you've become like the sort of Tony Scarface of podcasting.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the morning show. Happy Wednesday to you all. Have you subscribed yet to this channel? If you haven't done so, please do help us out and head on over to patreon.com/Pantelis. Get yourself a plan that works for you and have access to amazing content. Ladies and gentlemen, he's back this week. Our producer, the Poseidon 69.
Well, hello.
Looking all fresh. Look at that. Look at this guy.
He's been busy with show business, eh?
He's been busy with show business.
Allegedly.
The curl going on down his forehead.
His star is on the rise.
Straight out of the fucking 60s.
If the star has a lot of problems.
One day he'll be giving an acceptance speech at the Oscar, and they'll try to play him off, and he'll go, "Bro, you shut that music off, you malaka."
And he won't spit out his gum before going up on stage. The man before me is legendary broadcaster Ted Bird, a host or co-host of Standing By, the Terry and Ted podcast, bringing together these two legends every Wednesday morning. New episode went up last night at midnight.
We're having trouble with the YouTube on that episode, so if you normally watch it, I don't know if the video
always
is
listen
up yet.
to it.
Yeah, you can get it. You can find the audio on Spotify and Apple, and we're working on the technical difficulty.
There was explicit imagery, allegedly.
Uh-oh.
No, there wasn't.
Did Terry strip again?
No. We kept our clothes on. And we talk at length about the Oscars.
Yeah, I got that bit there. I didn't get to the end of it, but man, I've told you this before, and I'll say it again. I love the fact that you guys are back doing what you've always done, and it's just so fucking refreshing, and it's funny, and the chemistry is unbelievable. Ooh. So if you guys want to, if you haven't done so already, and you're looking for something to listen to, Terry and Ted back together on the Standing By podcast. It's amazing.
It's fun because we keep it politics free.
Yeah.
We make a point of not talking about politics because it can be so contentious.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And it's not in keeping with what we did for all those years. You know, we just talked and we joked and we laughed and we talked about, a little bit about current events, but mostly just like pop culture. I save the politics for this podcast, so stand the fuck by.
Oh my God! Here's what I love, and we're gonna stop talking about you guys, but
No. Let's talk. Enough about you talking about me. Now, Poseidon, you talk about me for a while.
Hey.
No, but you and Terry. I mean, obviously, there's this chemistry there. But I think, and I could be wrong, but you are so diametrically opposites when it comes to your political stance.
Not necessarily diametrically opposite, but we do have some differences.
Yeah.
But we don't. We haven't ended our friendship over them like so many people
and
do.
You know what? That's how it should be.
Yeah,
that's how it should be. And it sucks that people can't talk about politics without disagreeing and still having a decent conversation.
Yeah,
that's.
Yeah, or better still, don't talk about it at all. I mean, I can remember growing up, the three things you never talked about were sex, politics, and religion.
Right.
That stuff was kept in the home.
Yeah.
But, of course, everything has changed with social media.
Yeah, everything's out in the open now. Yeah. You have to talk about it.
Well, yeah, especially if you do what we do,
Yeah.
and you want to keep your name out there and your profile out there. You pretty much have to, because that's what everybody's talking about.
It's disgusting.
Well, it's disgusting, but it's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
I think we live in the most interesting of times.
I sent you a message the other day because we do try to prepare a little bit for this podcast.
Yeah, for sure we do.
And I sent a note. I'm like, let's talk about what happened last week, because last week we spoke about the whole thing around Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
And immediately after the show, you put up a little clip. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Putting up a clip. And I wasn't expecting to see all the reactions on that post. Usually we get a bit, it's normal, it's fine. And mostly it's from people that follow you. I wasn't expecting, there were a bunch of people that were like, fuck Gretzky. Yeah, he deserves it, and he's no longer Canadian. And if he supports Trump, then we should relinquish his, or whatever the hell the comments were. I didn't see them all. And I was a little bit shocked. I didn't expect it. No,
I wasn't shocked, because we live in, we live in a time where a lot of people are motivated by hatred and form their opinions according to what they see on internet memes.
Yeah.
And I think the Gretzky haters a lot of them fall into that category. I think I don't know how many reactions we got to that post.
That's what I'm actually looking at.
Maybe
we got over 6,000 views on
Oh,
that.
really,
on that post.
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram.
But I would say it was probably 80-20 people against Gretzky saying fuck him. I thought there were more people who disagreed with what I said, because what I said was, I'm on Gretzky's side. He's allowed to have whatever.
That's what our position was.
Yeah, he's allowed to.
You're saying there were more people that were
fuck Gretzky.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Gretzky's a traitor. Fuck
That's what I'm
him.
saying. I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. Look, the man, he's Canadian. He's been living in the U.S., and we're not going to go through the whole discussion again. But one, he has every fucking right to support whoever he wants. And if he doesn't want to take a position politically, he shouldn't. He shouldn't have to.
But they're saying that he is taking a position politically because he hangs out with Trump, and he was at the White House or Mar-a-Lago wearing a MAGA hat. So as far as
but that has nothing to do. Like, one doesn't exclude the other, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're preaching to the choir, George. But the thing with Trump is, and we've talked about this before, people hate Trump, the person, so much that they can't separate that from anything else.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of really smart people who can't think straight when it comes to Trump, because they hate him so much that they can never say or even entertain the notion that he's done anything constructive or positive. Everything about him is horrible, and he's Hitler reincarnate.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they keep playing that card, because that's part of what got him reelected, I think. People were like, okay, it's enough with the fucking thing, okay?
Yeah.
Get fucking Johnny Retardo out of there and put him in a retirement home. And, last night Trump gave his State of the Nation. I think it wasn't an official State of the Nation address. It was unofficial. It was his first speech since he got to a joint session of Congress, since he got reelected. And I heard this morning, CBS News did a poll, and CBS News, like most or all mainstream media outlets, are vehemently anti-Trump. Like, they'll paint him as negatively as possible. But the poll they did showed that 76% of Americans approved of Trump's speech last night. They liked what he had to say. They thought he showed strong leadership, and they thought the speech was inspiring.
Yeah.
76%. And I heard a commentator last night talking about, these issues that the Democrats ran on or leaned on, and I think ultimately cost them or played a big factor in them losing the election. Things like DEI, transgender, all the feel-good, touchy-feely social justice issues. This analyst said last night that generally runs 80-20 with Americans. Americans are 80-20 against having trans ideology in schools, against DEI in the workplace.
Yeah. I didn't see it, and I feel like a complete idiot because again, when we sent our topics last night, I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for it. It was at 9 p.m. and then I got called into work, and I wasn't home before 11:30ish, I think, or midnight. So I missed the whole thing. I try to read online, but again, I don't know what to trust anymore. So you got to read a bunch of sources.
Or you got to watch it. Just watch it. You can. I'm sure you can find. It's an hour and 40 minutes though.
That's long.
Longest, longest presidential speech to Congress in history. Apparently, he beat Bill Clinton's record by 10 minutes. But like a good movie, I thought it flew by pretty fast.
Yeah.
Because it was entertaining.
Did he focus primarily? Obviously, I'm assuming
he didn't focus primarily on anything. The only thing he left out, to my knowledge, is I don't recall him bringing up Israel and Gaza. But he talked about tariffs. He talked about transgenderism in transgender ideology in schools and how he wants it out of there. He talked about DEI and how that fucking party is over. And at one point, he talked about Ukraine, and that was the only time the Democrats were like petulant babies. They were sitting there like kids who were told, okay, daddy's home, put your fucking phone away, sit down, and listen up. It was unbelievable. The optics were so bad for the Democrats. And Trump had a number of invited guests, including a 13-year-old boy who's been battling brain cancer for 5 or 6 years.
I saw those images.
And his lifelong dream is to be a police officer. So Trump had the head of the Secret Service. The kid was up in the gallery. Trump had the head of the Secret Service come and make this kid an official Secret Service agent on a ceremonial basis, obviously.
That's so nice.
And the kid was like,
in heaven.
Yeah. And his dad was there, and his dad, you could see he was just moved beyond description, and everybody got up and applauded, gave the kid a standing ovation, except the Democrats. They couldn't even, for a kid who's been battling brain cancer for 5 years and was just made an honorary member of the Secret Service.
To encourage him.
They couldn't even get up and give him a round of applause.
Yeah.
Laken Riley's mother was there. She's a young lady who
that's
was
the girl that was
murdered by an illegal immigrant.
Yeah.
And I think there's a piece of legislation that Trump is going to push through, and he's called it the Laken Riley Act.
Yeah.
And the Democrats sat on their hands for that. Like they could not, and this is why what I mean when I say they can't see beyond their hatred for the man.
Yeah.
You know? Can't, their pride does not allow them. Like, they can't even see fit to get up and applaud for a 13-year-old kid battling brain cancer or the family of a young lady who was murdered by an illegal.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not one of those historians that keeps track of these things, but it feels to me that previous presidents didn't have that kind of issue. There was always this respect for the office where when they addressed Congress, it was obviously there's political differences, right? I mean, if you have a Democrat president, the Republicans aren't going to be in favor necessarily of what he says, but there was always a proper decorum and a respect for the institution and the person speaking to you. And I don't remember seeing any of this stuff before. I think it started with the Democrats against Trump the first time he was elected.
Yeah. And it's because he doesn't always show decorum and respect for the office.
Yeah.
And he did it a couple of times last night.
And it has to end. Like, the point I'm trying to make is that I think the Democrats started it with Trump, and then
But he brought it on himself, I believe, just
Trump,
in the way he acts. And that's why people hate him, because he's got an abrasive personality.
Yeah, but that still doesn't justify you acting like an imbecile in Congress, you know? I mean, the Democrats...
Well, I guess they think what's good for the goose is good for the
gander.
And like I say, a couple of times last night, I thought he had a couple of moments that were inappropriate. He called Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas, like during his State of the Union address. You know, that was not presidential. And he had another one too. I don't remember exactly what he said, but there was another moment.
Picture. Calm down, Pocahontas.
Yeah, there was another moment where I said to myself, you don't have to do that, man.
No, because she had said that she has
164th.
Whatever, native.
164th native.
Yeah.
But it ended up being false, I think, too, no? Or was she lying?
I'm not entirely sure.
There's a
anyway,
story around that.
I thought to myself, take the high road, but he can't. He can't help himself. He
Yeah,
can't
that's the
take
thing.
the high road, and that's why people hate him.
Yeah.
But that hatred clouds. It doesn't allow them to see. Like they can't see beyond that.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
and that-
policy. What are you doing in terms of policy?
They don't give a shit what he's doing in terms of policy. Orange man bad. That's where it begins and ends for people with Trump derangement syndrome, which I think should be officially classified as a diagnosable mental illness.
I saw this morning, and I don't know if he spoke about this last night, but he's going to pass. I guess it's a presidential decree that he's passing, making English the official language.
executive order?
An executive order. Making English the official language of the United States, which I don't even know why.
I didn't even know it was an issue. I guess.
Yeah, I'm
if
like,
it,
I
if it
was
is
wondering
if it is an
was-
issue, it would have to do with Spanish.
Yeah.
Because of the because of the
And I don't have a
Latino
problem. I don't have
population.
a problem with that. I mean, it would be ridiculous for especially Quebecers to have an issue with that. You're trying to protect your culture and a language.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what that feels like. And I, for
Yeah,
one, I've
although
said it many
Quebecers-
times, I support the French language laws because I want the language to be protected. Not not to the point where you are diminishing the other minorities, because sometimes that has happened as well. But it's a surprise to me that the U.S. doesn't have that already.
And I've never heard of it being an issue. I've never heard of. I'm sure maybe it's happened, but I've never heard of there being a prominent movement for government services in Spanish. Like I've never heard. You know, you hear Anglo-Quebecers saying, you know, we deserve
Yes.
to have government services, Quebec government services available to us in English. I've never heard in the States of Latinos saying we demand
In Spanish.
government service availability in Spanish.
I mean, I don't know. We're not American. We don't live in these states, but I would imagine that they've been pretty open to serving these communities. I can't imagine government services, for example, in Miami, not having Spanish speaking.
Or California, parts
yeah.
of California, where
I'm sure they're already accommodating these.
Texas, New Mexico, Arizona.
Texas,
Yeah. These groups. But I don't have an issue with that. I think it's a good move. Yeah, make English your official language. Why not? Yeah. And it's difficult for me to imagine the opposition having an issue with that as well. You know,
I guess maybe
Well, they're gonna spin it and say, Trump says you're not
Bigoted
allowed to
against
speak
Spanish
other
people.
languages.
it's discriminatory
yeah.
or whatever. Again, it doesn't mean that because you're making it the official language that you're going to block every other language from being spoken in a country of nearly 400 million people. It's impossible.
Yeah, I think people are free to speak whatever
Yeah.
language they want. I
Yeah.
think he's just talking about administratively.
Yeah.
English will be the
Yeah.
official language of the U.S.
Yeah. What else? So you said he spoke about the tariffs as well?
Yeah, and he just, you know, I don't pretend to understand that issue. That's way beyond, the complexity of that is way beyond anything that I'm educated or experienced in. But what he's said from the beginning and what he said last night is that America has been subsidizing other countries, including Canada, for far too long, and the party's over.
Yeah. I wonder what he means with that, because
Well, he
I've
says
yet
that
to
America has
see-
a trade deficit with Canada of $200 billion a year. And the way he spins it is that they subsidize us to the tune of $200 billion a year. And
Yeah.
he said, we're not going to do that anymore. I think he's just playing from a position of strength.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's got the,
There was an
you might
analyst-
know more than me. I think he's got the hammer when it comes to that
Yeah,
stuff.
I just don't understand how intelligent it is, especially with countries that you are not only. I mean, there's a huge alliance, right? Especially U.S. and Canada. Let's forget about U.S. and Mexico because they have other different issues. But U.S. and Canada, for me, it's still, and I maintain that it's still posturing. I mean, a lot of people disagree with me, and they're like, no. The tariffs are real. We gotta be. We gotta take measures, and we have to be able to respond. And I'm not saying don't be, because when something comes out from the mouth of the president of the United States, you have to
gotta pay
take it as
attention.
truth.
Sure,
right? I mean,
yeah.
you can't just
gotta
say,
take him at
he's fucking around.
Yeah, you
can't
gotta
do
take
that.
him at his word.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the president of the United States, so yes, be prepared. I just don't see that happening. And yesterday, Tuesday, the tariffs were put in place officially. Canada responded, And then immediately a couple hours later, I saw on Fox News, I think Lutnick, I think his name is Trump's Secretary of Commerce, I think.
I like him. He's like a
Is
regular
he from New
guy.
York? He sounds like a New Yorker.
I think he is. Yeah. But he's just. I like the way he talked. I liked his presentation.
And he
He's just
and
a
he
regular
gave an
guy.
interview saying, "Look, he's a fair guy, and all he wants is for Canada to do a little bit more, and he'll meet them kind of in the middle." So there's a possibility that today, before the end of the day, those tariffs may actually go away or be suspended for another. I don't know.
I saw in the news last night that Trudeau is hoping to speak with Trump.
He's not picking up the phone. He's not answering.
He's too busy to plunging us into World War III.
No, but imagine. Look, I don't want to throw the blame on Justin Trudeau because he didn't do anything. I mean, it's Trump's decision to impose tariffs.
What are you talking
about? Dude, what did Justin
Whoa,
did?
whoa, whoa.
It wasn't
First
like
of
an
all-
action.
first of all,
Hold on, let me finish. It wasn't like an action reaction. It's not like Justin Trudeau did something and the reaction to that was Trump saying, "Yeah, I'll fucking." It wasn't. It's Trump that woke up one day.
Trudeau's done nothing, and I think that might be part of what inspired Trump. Like, there's a leadership void in our country.
That's what I'm getting to. But again, we had an interesting conversation on our podcast with Salim, and he said, "Listen, man, look what's happening all over the world. He's pushing over."
By the way, it's not Salim, it's Salim.
Salim. So he's pushing over Panama,
Joke.
Mexico, Greenland, Canada, Europe. He's fucking destroying them. He sent Vance the other day, last week or 2 weeks ago, to destroy them on their rights and freedoms and on their policy on immigration. He's pushing everyone around. Fucking the Gaza resort that he wants to do. And he goes, "Do you honestly believe that had it not been Trudeau,
Salim is saying this?
that he would have let Canada go?" No, Canada was part of the equation, regardless of who's in power. Maybe he's right, but I also think that there's a sense of weak leadership that kind of just blew the door right open for Trump to say, "Fucking idiot, you're the 51st governor. Shut up."
Yeah.
It's so demeaning, and to a certain point, I kind of feel insulted, even though I hate Justin Trudeau. But fuck off, dude. Don't embarrass my leader, even though he's an idiot. Indirectly, you're insulting me as well. And that's the problem we have. And I do believe that there is a certain part of weak leadership having to do with this thing. And then you look at, for example, Doug Ford. Okay, he came out yesterday, fucking on the offense. I don't know if you saw he gave an interview. I think it was on Fox News or on CNN. I can't remember. In the morning, dude, it was like, what's going on? This is so not Canadian.
Yeah,
And
and
he
it was so not. It was a little bit because Doug Ford is a conservative. I didn't expect him to be as confrontational.
Oh my goodness!
Yes,
You know
he
what?
was.
I admired that from him. It was like finally someone has balls to step up and say, "You do that to us, I don't care. I will shut down your energy. I will stop export on all aluminum and steel, on potash, uranium," and people got scared. I read somewhere in the article that this guy Lutnick was. He called Doug Ford several times and told him, "Back away, take a step back." And he told him, "Not only will I not step back, I will fucking go even worse.
I will fuck you
Yeah.
up."
I don't know what those calls are like, but I'd love to be a fly on that
Yeah.
wall.
One
And
of
that's
my-
what you need.
Yeah.
And you need to scare the U.S. And let's be honest here. There is no way in hell that in the long run Canada wins. There's no way. There is no
it's
way.
just-
The U.S. has a much bigger economy, and there's no way that you can win that war. And that's something. And that's what I wanted to tell you. There's a video going around, and I think it's gone viral. I think it was right before they signed the original NAFTA agreement with Brian Mulroney. It's
like 1988 or whatever.
It's President Reagan, and he's giving a speech. He looks like he's in his living room. The guy, he's with like a regular shirt, and he's reading off.
Who, Reagan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's explaining how tariffs are the worst thing that you can do. And he goes on, explaining detailed what it can do. How it can destroy your economy and whatever. And they're playing that because they know. I mean, the people that are posting that is obviously in response to Trump because they know that Trump is a huge Reagan fan. And they're like, "Look, this is what a Republican president did, and he understood the economics of it." And it kind of makes sense, especially when you're receiving products that you don't have at home. If we think of it, 80% of the U.S., 80% of what do you call it?
Aluminum?
No, 80% of gas going into the U.S., petroleum, whatever you want to call it, that goes into the U.S. comes from Alberta. 80%. It doesn't come from Saudi Arabia or Venezuela or whatever. Canada. Canada sends 80% of oil to the U.S. I think 65% of its aluminum comes from Quebec. Like, there's a lot of things that U.S. is dependent upon Canada. Potash.
Well, they're not.
85%.
Here's the difference. They're
80
not dependent. They yes, they
Well, they don't
import.
have it, so yeah, they need
Well,
it.
of course they have. You're talking about the
Are we
United
the only
States.
source?
No, they get it also from there's Russia that has it, and
Look,
well, depending
let
on
me-
what
let me-
like uranium, they also get from Kazakhstan. But the majority of their uranium
bro.
for their nuclear
Reactors?
reactors, it comes from Canada. 85% of their agriculture uses Canadian potash for their what do you call it?
Fertilizer?
For the fertilizer. So
Who knew that I knew anything about farming?
yeah. So
Okay.
the problem is that, and again, I'm not an expert, but I'm just thinking, why would you tax these products and services that you need and that you don't have at home?
Okay, let me.
That's what doesn't make sense to
let
me.
me school you. The United States has every mineral in the ground. It's a vast country. They trust me. They can find whatever they need in their own soil. What they do is they don't need other countries to supply them. They take the decision. You understand?
I don't think so. I think if they
think
had
so.
it, they
Dude,
would have
the
exploited
reserves.
it.
The reserves of natural gas of the United States is in the multi-trillions. That's in the ground, and what they have like stored. The storages are huge.
It wouldn't justify then getting 80% of their
understand,
oil from
but what's
from
happening?
Alberta. Then
I think
Well, another thing he said last night in his speech was drill, baby, drill.
yeah.
There you
yeah,
go.
They need to.
so. What I think is going to start happening, they don't manufacture a lot of this stuff home because so far it's been cheaper. But what's going to happen is everyone's going to start. Oh, you're going to put tariffs on me. I'm going to put tariffs on you. Everyone's going to start putting tariffs on everyone. What's going to happen is manufacturing is going to come back home, not just for the United States. It's going to happen for all of the countries. You're going to start seeing like all the factories making clothes, all this shit overseas. You're going to start seeing it shut down. It's no longer going to be economically viable for the major corporations. I'm saying what's at play here may be a little bit bigger than just tariffs and like, no, fuck you and fuck you. You understand? Trump has been talking about bringing manufacturing back home for the longest time.
Yeah.
So you're looking at what's in front of you right now, but his goal is to bring everything back home, manufacturing cars, clothes, USA made.
Yeah. I just
And
don't think,
even though it will be more expensive, it will be less expensive than with all the tariffs and all this bullshit like globally going on.
This goes to the point that Reagan was making in the late '80s, saying that you can do that and you can build your own infrastructure and manufacturing and all that. There is an element, however, that would create a limited competition.
How?
Eh?
How?
I don't know. Fuck, I'm not an expert. How?
It would create a limit.
Fuck, how?
No, but in what
How do I
sense?
know?
No, for real. In what sense?
Well,
What do you mean?
because if you're producing everything at home and you don't have anyone competing with your market, doesn't that affect your your economics?
I mean, it affects your export.
I don't know. I don't think that.
But the thing is, you cannot even though if they're 400 million, well then they cannot buy more than how many people they are. Even if they buy from the outside, they're just going to start buying more from the inside. So what we're going to see is we're going to see local economies start flourishing again. Smaller businesses pop up. Areas that have been dead for the longest time are going to start, coming back to life. I think the export is going to take a hit. That's for sure. But you have to do something. I think just people are going to evolve.
One thing he said last night in his speech was that the tariffs are going to help reinvigorate the American auto industry.
Well, there you go. It goes back to what I've been saying.
Well, they're the only ones that have the automotive industry. We don't have that in Canada. The problem is that there's a dependence on Canadian steel and aluminum. And I'm not saying that they can't get it elsewhere. I just don't know if the manufacturers would want to have, the quality of aluminum that comes from China, for example, versus the one that comes from Quebec, which is the best graded aluminum in the world. Same thing goes with steel. Here, let me. I'm not going to send it to you. I'm just going to play it over here so that we can.
So
Hold on. This is
Ronald Reagan.
This is Reagan.
First, when someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, It looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. What eventually occurs is, first, homegrown industries start relying on government protection in the form of high tariffs. They stop competing and stop making the innovative management and technological changes they need to succeed in world markets. And then, while all this is going on, something even worse occurs. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. The memory of all this occurring back in the 30s made me determined when I came to Washington to spare the American people the protectionist legislation that destroys prosperity.
That was Ronald Reagan in the 80s. This was I think it was his speech justifying the move to sign that first trade agreement with
free
Canada.
trade agreement.
The free trade agreement.
Canada and Mexico.
If any, if I mean, this is the kind of speech that today you're like, you're an idiot. Like, no Republican speaks like this anymore. Like, this has become too left of what we consider the right now. I don't know, but and it makes complete sense to me. And I'm not an expert here. I'm not an economist. I don't know any.
Well,
of these
Reagan
things.
was one of the great presidents in history.
So that's what I'm.
He presided over an era of great prosperity, as I recall.
So in the long run, maybe we won't get to that, what he's describing, because Canada, I don't think they could sustain themselves to attack the U.S. at length, because we can't. We just can't. And politicians that are like, we're going to fight and we're going to win, shut the fuck up. No, you're not. You're not. So I think that it's fine that you respond, because you can't just continuously be attacked like that from the American president. But at the same time, I think there should be a parallel effort in discussing.
Well, I think that's why Trudeau wants to talk to him today.
Yeah.
So first of all, Canada is also fully self-sufficient. If we take back all of our manufacturing as well,
we don't have the manufacturing. That's the problem, because
but if we create, we can create it.
How long
You know,
is it
you know
gonna
where
take?
we're sitting right now, eh? We're sitting in an old sewing factory.
Yeah.
And everything's been outsourced overseas.
There you
is that
go.
right?
We could see now. Everyone, I'm gonna go to
And Canada has, in terms of oil reserves, we're like about fifth. I'm talking about in the ground as well, not just in barrels. In the ground, we are about fifth in the world in terms of reserves. I think right behind Russia.
Yeah.
The first is that country there that Maduro ruined. What is it? Venezuela. Venezuela. Saudi.
Yeah, they have the largest oil reserves in the world, Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia is first, I think. Then it's Venezuela. Then it's a few other Middle Eastern countries. Then it's Canada or Russia. Either or. Just Russia is bigger. I think it's Canada. And then it's the United States. So trust me, they're fully they have all the minerals in the ground that
there's
they
no
need.
doubt about that. But and you know, it's funny because yesterday we had the federal environment minister on our podcast. I don't really agree with him, but he did have some good argument. I mean, the guy's very knowledgeable.
Is this
Stephen Guilbeault, and he said, "Look, we can build a pipeline going from Alberta to the eastern provinces, so we can refine our own oil, but it's going to take at least 10 to 15 years for that project to happen." And it goes based on the stats that we have. Within the next 5 to 10 years, the market won't want fossil fuels anymore. That's what he says. Now, I haven't verified this.
I don't believe that for a minute.
I don't want to believe that either, and I can't remember what the source of those stats. Because
well, you remember also you're dealing with Stephen Guilbeault,
Yeah,
who's a radical environmentalist.
for sure. But assuming that we just take, one part of what he said, 10 to 15 years in order to build the infrastructure required to get our oil to the eastern provinces, and then to make sure that the refineries there are well equipped to do the job. I mean, what are you going to do from now until 15 years? You understand? So that's the problem. We can very easily, instead of exporting our lumber to the U.S., having them manufacture it and then send it back to us, we can do it over here. We don't have the manufacturer, the plants for that. Let's build it. Okay, let's build it. How long is it going to take? You understand? So there's always this time factor in place. And I'm not so sure that you're going to be hurting the U.S. to the point where they're going to backtrack. That's where I give credit to Doug Ford, because he knows that, you know what, fuck your tariffs. Let me make this. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but Doug Ford, what he said is like, look, Trump, let me make this easy for you. Forget about the tariffs. Don't stress about it. You don't have to. You don't have to impose any tariffs on anything we send you, because flat out we will stop sending you stuff. And that goes for our aluminum, our steel, our potash, and you know what? He goes, I will shut down the power to your, I don't know how many millions of homes and businesses in the northern states.
Yeah.
I mean, that will hurt.
Let me use that as a segue. Poseidon, find that clip that I sent you on on Twitter DM. One of my favorite comedians, Ben Bankus, and we've shown Ben Bankus before doing his imitation of Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow, which is absolutely hilarious. He posted one yesterday, and he did a real fast turnaround on this, like within hours of Doug Ford doing that interview. Ben Bankus posted this.
Ben Bankus.
So go to the get it to the very.
So
start.
if I'm hearing you correctly, you are ready, sir, to go to war, to go to a trade war with the United States with the Trump administration.
Listen, buddy, I wake up every day, I go down to my local Tim Hortons. By the way, we're going to be shutting down all the Timmies across the border there. So, sorry if you're in Michigan there and you like getting your bacon egger, where you double, I had a bacon egger today, and for Christ's sake, I thought, fucking Americans, they don't know what they're doing, but, buddy, listen to me, my brother, he used to be the mayor of Toronto before the Chinese woman there took over, and, I mean, he was smoking crack every day, and, I almost want to ask Donald Trump, are you fucking smoking crack, buddy? Because, you're raising the tariffs on the Lay's chips there, bud. So we're going to fucking do an retaliations. You're going to turn off all the electricity there for all the Americans, just like the Palestinians there, the Jews did there in the Gaza. So we're going to be doing that to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. So they're not even going to be getting any power. And yeah, buddy, we're just going to be hacking darts up here and having a couple beers, and y'all can go fuck yourself.
Isn't that good?
So fucking good.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Man, that's
So
Little
if I'm hearing
comic,
you correctly,
little comic relief for you.
Oh, God.
Ben Bankus, he's so funny, and he doesn't give a fuck. And to him, and Norm Macdonald was the same kind of comedian, different styles, but they both go by the philosophy of funny is funny.
Yeah.
And if it offends somebody, too fucking bad. And Ben Bankus has got a big tour. He's got tour dates lined up like right through 2025. And he's had a couple of April, I think were they March shows or April shows? Anyway, he's had shows canceled in Halifax and Charlottetown.
They've canceled the shows.
Yeah, the two venues canceled because the LGBTQ plus HIJK communities complained to the venues, and they said this guy is offensive and
Oh, those comedy clubs suck.
yeah. And you know what? They got, according to Ben Bankus himself, these venues got like one or two letters or complaints, and they caved in. And shame on them. Shame on them. I saw Ben Bankus live at the Third Floor Comedy Club in downtown Montreal. And yeah, some of his stuff is very edgy, but it's fucking funny.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it and you're offended by it, you don't have to go.
Yeah.
And apparently these two shows were close to sold out.
Yeah.
And the venue's canceled. It disappoints me as a Maritimer, where I like to think that Maritimers are very open-minded,
Yeah.
Especially about humor. But
the
you know.
comedy club canceling a fucking comedian.
Well,
I mean,
one of them
what
was
the
one of
times
them
that we're living in.
Yeah,
man.
it wasn't a comedy. It wasn't. One of them was like a microbrewery where a lot of those places have rooms where they do comedy shows.
Yeah.
And the other one, the one in Halifax, was a I think it was what they call a soft seater venue, like a theater venue,
Yeah.
not a dedicated comedy
Yeah,
club, but
yeah.
a place where you could have a play.
But they all caved in under the pressure.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't think it's very unusual to see a comedy club
Right.
cave in
Yeah, that's what
because that's
surprised
what
me.
they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyone who goes to a comedy club, you know what you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get comedy.
I'm gonna go off here. You're reminding me. Yes, I saw a clip that not Poseidon, Pantelis posted it. It's a clip from the French cast. He had, I think, two other comedians there. I think the guy from the Gong Show. What's his name? Poseidon. And his He's not following.
Hold on. I just saw something so retarded. He goes, this guy, Canadians are removing American-made whiskey from their shelves that they already imported.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's stupid.
How stupid.
Yeah,
you already paid
yeah,
for
you
You
already
didn't pay
paid for it.
tariffs.
Yeah.
It's a virtue signal.
That's how stupid
Fuck
things are. Yeah,
me,
It's just
bro.
a virtue
so
signal.
just to go back to what you're saying about how about offensive comedy, and Pantelis is saying that he was called for to do a set at some event that was organized by some women's shelter, whatever, one of these domestic abuse organizations, for women. And he's like, "You sure? Do you know my comedy?" He goes, "I don't know if I'm the right guy." He goes, No. We want, this is good. It's gonna be funny. Don't worry about it.
This is Pantelis.
This is Pantelis
Yeah.
saying this story. And he goes, "All right." So I went there, and my opening line, I'm like, "Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here. Glad to see." Oh, fuck, man. I forgot the joke. He goes, "Damn it. Oh, this fucking ruined the whole thing. I can't believe I just forgot. Something about women being women being able to speak or something." He goes, "Glad to be here. Glad to see there's still women that are allowed to speak."
And how did it go over?
Apparently, they told him to stop. They stopped the show. They stopped him.
Really?
Yeah, they stopped him. Well, from what he was saying, if I understood correctly from the clip.
That happened to Rob Schneider out in Saskatchewan last year or the year before. Rob Schneider, formerly of Saturday
Yes.
Night Live, who's very conservative
Yeah.
in his politics, but is very funny. But they shut him down mid-show in Saskatchewan because people were upset about what he was saying. I have a line that I use when I do stand-up, and I talk about the fact that we live in touchy times, and you have to be really careful, and you can't say anything without somebody getting offended. And then I say, and I blame the Jews.
Yeah.
And you know who laughs the hardest at that?
The Jews.
The Jews.
Yeah.
Because they get it.
They get it.
Yeah. They
Speaking,
get the irony.
speaking of Jews, Andrew Schultz's special is up on Netflix.
Okay.
I watched like maybe 10 or 15 minutes of it last night. It was really late. I'm like,
He's
I
friends
can't."
with Pantelis
Yeah,
and Mike, Mike
they had
Ward?
him on. He had come for the.
Were you on with him, Poseidon? Was he
I
on
think
with
so.
the Drink Minimum?
Yeah.
He was
producing,
there.
I think, with-
He's just fucking hilarious, and I can't wait to go back
And
home.
he's another guy like who doesn't give a shit.
Oh,
right?
man,
funny is funny.
in the
Mike is that way too, and so is Pantelis
yeah,
for that
and
matter.
the first 10 minutes, he just destroys pretty much everyone. Everyone. He's so incredibly funny. I'm not even going to attempt to say the jokes because I'm not going to do it justice. But
Prisoners?
that's the comedy that I love. I love the clean comedy as well. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, well, funny is funny.
Yeah, exactly. Funny, but that kind of comedy that you don't give two shits and everyone laughs with you
Yeah.
because they get it. You can't have better.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than that. He makes, oh my God, there's a bit he makes about Mohammed and Abraham, and it's just so fucking funny. Anyway, go watch it on Netflix. I'm gonna.
Andrew Schultz.
Yeah, so good. So back to Trump. Yeah, so the tariffs are on.
Explain to me.
Yeah.
How is I haven't felt any impact.
You won't feel it, Ted, because I don't think it's going to last. I don't think it's going to last. And people need to
Because it's
understand.
been on and off from the
It
get-go,
hasn't been,
right?
well, yeah, I mean, nothing has been implemented because
Like I go to the
they've kept
grocery store.
postponing.
The only
Yeah.
place I really spend money is at the grocery store or at Costco. And
Yeah.
apparently, I'm a bad Canadian for shopping at Costco
Yeah.
because shouldn't be.
You're so bad for looking out for your pocket, Ted.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Well, I am apparently, according to some people.
Yeah.
How dare you shop at Costco?
It's so
You know?
stupid. Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nothing's been implemented except yesterday, but I don't know how long that's going to last. And I could be completely wrong here. I just feel that Trump is posturing. He wants to gain as much time as possible for there to be a responsible government in place here. All indication. I mean, this Sunday, by the way, is the Liberal leadership election. So it's going to be Mark Carney.
Yeah, I want to get into that too because I want to hear your
But
take on that. Because I know you
and I
follow
think
it closely.
immediately next week we're going into an election. I think so. By mid to end of April, we're gonna have a new government here. So I don't know if we're gonna have time to feel anything.
Yeah. I thought in the beginning when he was talking 51st state and Governor Trudeau, I thought that was just a troll.
I think
But
it's still a
obviously,
troll.
you do, eh? You don't
Yeah.
think that because some people say he wants to weaken Canada's economy to the point where we really have no choice but to be annexed by the United States.
I don't believe that for a second.
No.
I don't believe that for a second. He's just getting under our skin. It's his way of just humiliating you and getting you to the negotiating table, and him to show that, look, we're stronger, we're better, and we got a good deal out of it. He's an idiot. And you've seen but you've seen
Well, he's not an idiot. He's not stupid.
Ted, you've seen the clip where he says, I don't know about this trade negotiation. I mean, the guys that must have signed that must have been a complete idiot. I mean, who the hell signs that?
And it was him?
It's him. He's the one that fucking signed it. Like, what's wrong with you? And yesterday, when the media here have been preparing, obviously, for a long time. And there's a tweet they fired off from when they signed that agreement saying, great reviews coming in after the new agreement signed. Thank you, Mexico and Canada, for this historic deal that will make our countries prosper in the long run. Something along those lines. Dude, come on, man. It's like 4 years later, it's like the complete opposite. So I don't know what his strategy is. I something inside me is still convinced that it's just posturing. He's just trying to bug us and get under our skin.
Well, he's also trying to get a better deal for the U.S., right? He wants to put the like he's using his leverage to cut as good a deal as he can for America.
But I mean, sit down like fucking mature adults and figure it out. If you don't like what you signed, whatever it was, 8 years ago, times have changed. We get it. Sign a new agreement. So I don't know what he wants. I think he's desperate for critical minerals, which is why he wants to deal with Ukraine. And he needs.
And that's back on that is forthcoming
for sure. Yeah.
Like fucking Zelensky folded like a fucking.
But that was such a disgusting thing to watch. I've never in my life seen anything like that. Both on both American and Ukrainian side.
Did you watch the whole 50 minutes?
I was recording the podcast that day. I can't remember who I was with. And we finish. We get back up to my kitchen, and the news are on. So I unmute it, and the first thing I hear is he walked up and left. I'm like, "What the fuck just happened? What the hell just happened? We were just recording for an hour. What the fuck?" So, and then we found out what happened. So I didn't watch it at all.
It's important, I think, for the sake of context, before forming an opinion on what happened in the Oval Office last Friday, you have to watch the whole 50 minutes.
Yes.
Then give me your opinion.
And I haven't. I watched just the bit just so I can understand what went down. My understanding is, obviously, it led to a shouting match back and forth. Zelensky was trying to squeeze in facts about what he thought was being told that was wrong, either from Vance or from Trump. And I think that just that format is wrong. The meetings in the Oval Office traditionally, it's a press junket. It's just, here we are, the foreign leader. Hi, we're pleasure to be here. The media is all there. Let's get a couple statements in. They're very standard, very diplomatic.
They
very
don't
happy
normally
to be
negotiate in front of the media.
No.
What we saw is what goes on behind closed
Exactly.
doors.
So why the hell would you do that? And
I don't know, and I don't know who insisted that it happened in front of the media. I don't know for sure whether
the fact
it was
that it happened in front of
Zelensky
the fact that
Trump.
they did that in front of the media is normal. It's standard procedure. It's protocol. They come in, they sit down, but it's very formal. It's very, it's for the cameras. It's for the pictures. Glad to be here. Looking forward to have the discussion. Very important things happening out there. Blah blah blah. And it just went off the fucking rails. Off the fucking rails.
But it took 50 minutes to go off the rails, or 45 minutes.
Yeah,
Like,
but
what
first of all, why would you even drag it that long? That's never happened. Usually it's like, 15, 20-ish minutes? Okay, thank you very much, everybody. We're going to get to work. They drag that on and on and on. And to a certain extent, I kind of blame Trump because he's in control of what happens in that room. He can say, okay, we're done. Thank you very much. And just cut it. Whenever you see that it's going to fucking head off a cliff, stop it, dude. But that's not Trump. Trump likes the show. He's like, okay, this is good. The cameras are here.
Well, at the end, he said, "Good TV, eh?"
Like an idiot. But you got to stop that. And here's the one thing: the good and the good thing and the negative that I thought. The negative thing, I think Zelensky went in there thinking that Macron just went in before me. The English Prime Minister just went in me, and both of them kind of stood up in quote stood up to Trump. But what they did, and again, I've noticed that for the very first time, they both corrected him. They fact checked him live, which again, you don't do that. The guy's inviting you over. You're in the Oval Office. Come on, have some decency. Control your fucking emotions. Take care of it behind the scenes where nobody's watching. But Macron corrected him on the facts, on the money that they're funding Ukraine, and I think the British, the Starmer also, I can't remember on what. So I think Zelensky sees this and he's like, you know what? If ever it goes off the rails, I'm gonna stand up to them, and I should just correct him if ever it gets to that point. Mistake. They shouldn't have done that. And like I said, from the United States perspective, you have to fucking put a lid on that. You can't allow it to fucking fly off a cliff like that. It's embarrassing. And I think that Donald Trump wasn't expecting a guy like Zelensky to actually stand up to him.
Well,
you know what? Just one last thing. Somewhere in that chaos, I feel like Donald Trump respected what he did. Even though he's like, oh, okay, he kicked him out, obviously, of the White House.
Well, because he knew he's going to come back, which he is now. He's coming back.
But
it took 4 days for Zelensky to issue a statement on social media, on X, Twitter, saying...
Actually, no, they issued a statement immediately after. I don't know if you saw that. And that's what shocked me, because both the U.S., President Trump's and Zelensky's statement right after on Twitter was the most diplomatic thing I've ever seen coming out of Trump. I'm like, what? I'm reading his tweet. I'm like, wow. I mean, whatever we just saw in the Oval Office doesn't match whatsoever with the statement he just put out. And that to me made me realize that it was a wake-up call for Trump as well. He saw the reaction. He goes, fuck, this is bad on both sides. This degenerated so quickly. We got to calm shit down. And I think it was the right thing to do to issue that kind of statement rather than Zelensky is a pussy, la, 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 fuck him. Like the standard shit that we're used to seeing from Trump, where he doubles down. He didn't. And he said we had a very interesting discussion. Things were said, and it was important for these things to be told. They could have only been said in a meeting. So I thank him for that. They're clearly not ready to discuss peace. Whenever they are, we'll be here, kind of thing. It was along those lines, which is exactly what you needed to say. Yesterday, I think right before his joint statement or joint address in Congress, Zelensky issued another statement saying that, we're ready to talk and let's sit down and figure this shit out, So I think something's going to happen. And I wrote something on Facebook, and it's just strange to me because immediately right after that whole thing happened last Friday, the leaders, the European leaders and NATO leaders met, I think, in England. I think, it was in the UK, to figure out a way of getting a peace going. And I'm thinking, fucking idiots, man. Yeah, just suddenly like that, just all of a sudden when the U.S. says we want a deal, we want to get paid back from whatever we gave you, and let's make a deal for your critical minerals and et cetera, et cetera. Suddenly the Europeans woke up. They're like, fuck no, we can't let that go to the fucking U.S. Let's find a deal right away. Suddenly the Europeans woke up. They're like, we need to find a deal.
A deal with who?
With Ukraine, like a peace deal. And I think there was a treaty, proposition for a treaty between Russia and Ukraine. I'm not sure if it's in effect or if they're still discussing it. But isn't it fucking funny how when the U.S. comes in for their share of the pie, and to a certain extent, I mean, they gave, $200 billion to Ukraine. At some point, the money needs to come back to the U.S.
The rest of the West is so used to getting handouts. Like, America's been fucking carrying NATO and the UN and the Western world since the end of World War II. And I think Trump's thing is, okay, it's enough already.
Yeah, there is a better way for him to have done that, because there is.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of finesse.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what I saw in the 50 minutes. I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it began with Trump was really complimentary towards Zelensky in the beginning and towards the Ukrainian armed forces, talking about their bravery and how hard they've been fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very, very diplomatic. But Zelensky, right out of the gate, was Putin's a terrorist, Putin's a murderer. He was the antithesis of diplomatic. And it all led up to J.D. Vance saying, you know, there needs to be diplomacy here. And that's when Zelensky said, J.D., which was, hey, you're talking to the vice president of the United States.
I mean, that's how they talk to each other.
Well, that's behind
but-
closed doors.
yeah,
But
yeah.
in this scenario,
You have cameras. It's Mr. Vice President.
Mr. Vice
Yeah,
President.
yeah.
And that's when it went off the rails. And Zelensky said, well, you might not feel it now, but you're going to feel it. And that's when Trump went, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But he's
Don't
not,
you fucking tell me what we're going to feel.
Yeah, I know. That went off. But here's the thing. He wasn't completely wrong, Zelensky, because what if I understood? Because obviously his English is very broken, so it's hard to piece those things together. But I saw that clip, and I think, from my understanding, what he was saying is that, listen, you guys think that you're separated by an ocean and you're not impacted by what's happening over there. But let's say tomorrow Russia decides to invade the Baltic countries, your forces are there. It's gonna come to your front door, even though there's an ocean that separates you, and you think you're safe from whatever harm the Russians may do to you. And I think that's what ignited fucking Trump. He's like, fuck you, take it easy there. You're not gonna tell us what to do. But I think that's where he was taking it. But I agree with you. At the end of the day, I think it's the host's problem. You have to control it, and that's where Trump. Has
he
an
was
issue because
he was an ungracious guest.
yeah, but still, you are hosting me in your house. There's people watching, and I'm being a pest. Okay, let's just take your argument. Are you gonna let that go, or say, okay, look, thank you very much, everybody. We're gonna have our
Here's your
meeting,
hat. What's your hurry?
You know what I mean? Yeah. So just end it. But Trump has an issue. He likes the attention. He's like, this is a moment for me. Let me show them the patriot that I am. You're not going to fucking tell us what we're going to feel. You don't have any cards in this game. You know what I mean? You're going to make a deal or we're out.
Well, he
Dude.
doesn't have any cards, and that's why he folded like a cheap fucking
Yeah.
suit.
Well, he does have cards because...
What are his cards?
Well, if he didn't have cards, the U.S. wouldn't be so desperate to sign a deal with him.
I don't see that. I don't.
Well, they need...
I don't sense any desperation from the Americans.
Well, I do. I think the fact that they need those critical minerals...
They need them.
Yeah, they do. The
For
deal,
what?
For everything, for whatever they want to do, whatever they're cutting off from Canada, they're trying to get them from Ukraine. Trump wants to gain things. What does he need?
But
And what
he's got the fucking hammer in this. He's got the
I
leverage.
don't disagree with you. But he's seeing an opportunity where he can go in and say, "Let me fucking help you guys out." He has the leverage because he has the money, he has the troops, he has everything that Ukraine has.
Everything Ukraine needs.
Everything you need. Not only that they need, but they've been taken advantage of for the last 3 years, right? Under Biden.
I would also like to see a forensic accounting of all.
that's gone. The money's
of
gone.
all the money and all the
But
arms.
Zelensky
it's
said
all
it
been-
himself.
it's all
Zelensky
been-
said himself. He said, "I don't know where the money went." There's
how much?
There's like
his
$70
wife's-
billion that isn't
Yeah,
accounted
his wife's
for.
boob job. She bought a Bugatti. This is just a huge
first time I hear
fucking money
this. She
laundering
got a boob
scheme.
job?
Yeah,
Forget
this
the
is just
Bugatti.
a
It's like,
huge
what?
money laundering scheme. And the people who claim to be the most for diplomacy, the moment their money laundering schemes falls apart, they're all about war and this, that,
Yeah.
because they're not going to be the ones going to the front lines.
I think it's completely normal for paybacks. We saw that in World War II with the Marshall Plan, and it all happened very diplomatic. Look, we came in, we got rid of evil, but we fucking wasted everything to help you guys out. Let's work out a deal. The U.S. rebuilt Europe after that war, and you know this. So figure out a way to do that. But to walk in there and muscle the fucking guy like that in public on top of it, I thought it was a bit too much. But especially since you're going to have that conversation regardless, why do you need to fucking do a whole show in front of your media, and then that retard that comes out is like, why aren't you wearing the suit? Shut the fuck up, bro. It's none of your business. Like, why? Like, you get one question.
Actually, why isn't he? He can clearly afford it.
Yeah, okay, because he doesn't want. He's supporting his troops, and Winston Churchill also
He
visited
wore a
the-
suit when he went to the World Economic Forum.
Who?
Zelensky. He
Did
put
he
on
wear
a
a
suit
suit?
when he sat down with fucking Dr. Evil there.
I
What's
don't
his
know.
name from the WEF?
Yeah.
The fucking
whatever
you
it
will
is.
do what we tell you to do. That guy.
Does he wear? He's just missing a fucking monocle.
Monocle. Yeah, that's
George,
that's
you
the
are
only
a
thing.
puppet, just like
I'm not a
Zelensky.
puppet. I'm not a puppet, and
I'm not a puppet either.
you know, you get. I obviously you're Oh shit! dude.
Are you serious?
Old man Bird.
You get
I blame Trump.
you get one chance to ask a foreign leader a question, and you waste it on his fucking attire.
Who was that? Do you know?
He's Marjorie Taylor Greene's husband, and he's
A
part of
world-
that.
did
Okay,
you
well,
just
there you
call
go.
Zelensky a world leader?
Is he not? Is he not the president of Ukraine?
From what I understand from
Yeah, not by
internet
choice.
memes, he's now
What?
the leader of the
What do you
free
mean,
world.
what?
Who?
I said, from what I understand from internet memes, he's now the leader of the
He's
free
fighting.
world.
Yeah, he's fighting for the values. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, the guy is supporting his troops. He's not the first leader to do this. And secondly, shut the fuck up, man. You have another guy, and I'm not judging.
I don't think you understand what the word leader means.
Was he not elected?
Zelensky?
Yeah, he was elected
I guess
democratically.
if you want
I
to
mean,
call
there
that,
have been- there haven't been elections.
You want to
call that-
suspended free elections?
yeah,
They're supposed to have elections this year. but at the
supposed
same-
to, supposed
Yeah,
to
yeah.
have.
We don't. I mean, there is. But you're at war, and I actually did the research on this. Find me any other country that has been at war, not participating in a war, because I know that the U.S. has had elections during wartime, but their country wasn't invaded. They weren't fighting a war within their borders. It's never happened. It's never happened that any democratically elected leader pauses whatever fucking conflict is happening within their country to go to an election. So it's martial law. Whether you agree with that or not, I mean, it's your right. But
Why has he refused peace talks?
I don't think he's refused peace talks.
Bro, you're gonna make me search everything up. I'm gonna lose my mind.
When has he refused peace talks? He's all over the fucking world trying to get a deal going. The problem with
Yeah, that's part of the problem.
what's part of the problem?
He's looking to make a deal with everyone apart from the man attacking his country.
Because you have someone attacking your country.
Yeah,
how the fuck do you talk? How do you talk to that guy? You can't. You have to go through a mediator. You have to go through an in
An
between.
intermediary.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, that's how peace talks happen. I mean, look what's happening with Israel.
Volodymyr Zelensky rejects calls for immediate Ukraine-Russia ceasefire. This is even woke leftist newspapers saying this.
Yeah, but we don't know what the discussion was and what the criteria of those meetings were. And this is where I think he had another issue with Trump because.
You're gonna make me use ChatGPT, bro.
Yeah, that's the most credible thing to do. Fuck,
It
because
scans everything.
I think one of the issues he had was that you're trying to make a deal, and instead of penalizing Russia for what they did, you want to concede. And I think there's the whole issue with territory. So whatever all the eastern provinces of Ukraine, including Crimea,
Which have a large ethnic Russian
Yeah.
populations.
I think the proposal is you're gonna have to give up land if you want peace to happen. If I were forget all the arguments that we said right here. If you are the leader of a country, you're at war, you're going to accept losing land? I don't think so. So if your country
considering that they're the strongest force, I'm not saying I would be happy about it, but would you rather lose a little bit of land or all of your land?
I don't think you can lose all of the land, and I think it's been pretty well maintained in those
Because that's
provinces.
not how that's not how conquests have been happening over the past thousands of years.
But that feeds into my argument. Why was there a conquest? Who invaded who? I mean, at some point, and
Well, Putin made it clear: if Ukraine joins NATO,
yeah.
okay, I will invade the Ukraine.
But
Because what happens is we've gone
it
over
doesn't
this a
ju- but
million
it doesn't-
times.
It shouldn't,
NATO
it shouldn't justify
NATO,
a country invading another sovereign country.
Well, it
dude.
does because they
No,
can.
it doesn't.
Yes, it does
No,
because they
because
can
you- no,
they can
because you
position their
disagree.
nuclear warheads right at the border.
There's different. No, there's
Of course,
different,
but
there's
we've
different
gone
ways
over
to-
this 1,000 times,
There's
George.
different ways to go about it, and I'm not saying-
What if somebody took over a country here and I don't know, joined some kind of alliance
Yeah.
that was really close to the capital of the United States of America, and they could place their nuclear warheads right there, where they've been historically an enemy? What would the United States do? They would look at what they did to Cuba. You don't remember that? You forget about history, George. But
no.
He made it clear, if Ukraine joins NATO
Yeah.
and NATO can position their weapons closer to Moscow, they will invade. What do? They go, Ukraine is going to join NATO. We've gone over this 1,000 times.
They never joined NATO, and there was
well, they
never any
didn't.
mobilization of arms in Ukraine to begin
Sure.
with. It was a red line that I agree they crossed, but it doesn't justify you invading a sovereign country. So at the end of the day, when you're looking at what happened, You have.
I'm not saying it justifies it either, but
Yeah.
if you are a country and you're backed into a corner like that, and you keep asking, "Hey, don't do this. It scares me. Don't do this. It scares me. Don't do this. It scares me," and you keep fucking pushing the fucking line repeatedly of countries, eventually you're gonna react. I'm not excusing their actions. What I'm saying is it's completely natural.
Okay, so what happened?
If I have been previously hostile to you, George, in the past, if I have beaten the shit out of you in the past, let's say 10 years ago, right? And I come near you and you tell me, hey, we're going to stay at a distance of 10 feet. I don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay? You've attacked me in the past. You've been threatening to me in the past. And I keep inching closer and closer, closer and closer.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see my intentions are not the greatest.
Yeah.
If you then react and in defense react by attacking me and beating the shit out of me,
Yeah.
it doesn't excuse it,
Yeah.
but I can completely understand your reaction.
Okay. Perfect. Now,
You understand?
Let me ask you something else now. I beat the shit out of you because we've been talking and you don't seem to understand. And then you're like, okay. I got it. Stop. And you're like, okay, you understand now? Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, but
I'll stay-
and then
I'll stay away
by
from
the way, leave your arm and your foot over here because I'm gonna keep pounding on it. By the way, but we're okay.
No, but let's say you tell me, give me $100 now. I beat the shit out of you. You rob me.
Yeah.
It doesn't excuse it.
No, but whatever happened. What I'm trying to explain now is that okay, let's try and put an end to this conflict. You can't give Russia the fucking territories that they invaded, and that's Zelensky's point. Is like, how am I going to come out of this whole thing a loser? And mind you, it wasn't Ukraine that said, I want to be part of NATO. They were forced to take that approach by the European leaders and Biden, by the way, because, I mean, the U.S. is pretty much the leader when it comes to NATO. So
U.S. is NATO.
Exactly. So, and this is what I find stupid because, and it's not Trump's fault. He's just taking over a bad administration that initiated this whole fucking conflict by dragging Ukraine into this fucking proxy war because the U.S. wanted to expand NATO and because the European leaders were talking about EU enlargement. So yeah, I understand the point of view that it frustrated Russia. I don't think it justifies Russia invading Ukraine. Whatever happened. To resolve the issue, I don't see how Russia goes away with land.
Well, how about this? If Russia wants some of the eastern provinces of Ukraine that have largely ethnic Russian populations, how about you have referenda in those provinces?
They already had.
And?
Well, the Russians won, but this is what happened. They annexed those provinces and they ran referendums. Guess what happened? They forced everyone out of their house to vote in favor of the referendum. But what are you doing a referendum for? Like,
and
since
here's
when?
another thing.
It's not your fucking land.
Here's another
So
thing.
they went illegally. They decided that we're annexing them. So they're the only ones that recognize those provinces now as Russian, part of Russia. And they initiated a referendum and they won the referendum. So in their minds, they're Russian. Look, they agreed. Come on. I mean, this is a guy that's been elected for what now? 25 years. You're going to trust whatever election results come out of Russia?
I'm not saying Russia can be trusted either. There are another whole pack of problems, and leaders on their side have been disappearing.
Leaders? There's
Whatever.
been one leader for the last.
But when there's elections,
leaders.
opposition leaders
They die in jail.
have been disappearing, landing
mysteriously.
in jail, being poisoned in jail.
Magically fall off windows from the 20th floor.
What I am saying is. What I'm trying to present here is that they're both fucking scumbag assholes that want power, money, and control. Why the fuck is the West getting involved with their problem? They're clearly the same people.
Yeah.
They have the same religion, the same language. Why not let them sort it out?
Because they started it.
Let them sort it out between them. Why
No,
does
not Ukraine, Russia.
Yeah.
The reason why they're at war is because they were pushed at war from the Western world.
Yeah, because of NATO. So why the fuck are we still getting involved? That's my point.
Yeah,
Why not let them fucking battle? If you have your neighbor in a house, the family, the siblings, they all get into a fucking scrap with each other, and they sort it out themselves. Are you gonna go and get involved? Why would you want to bring your family into that mess?
No.
What the fuck are you doing?
The Ukraine, undoubtedly, the Ukraine was screwed into this fucking conflict. Which is why everyone
Ukraine's people were screwed into this conflict.
When I talk about Ukraine, it's its people because they're the
They don't
ones
want to go to
fighting.
war. Have you seen the videos coming out of Ukraine with the recruiters beating
Yeah,
the
because
shit
it's
out of
mandatory
kids.
conscription. That's what it means.
But they're
If you're
beating
not,
at
if
it,
you're
like
not at the front line,
If those videos on social media are to be believed, they're fucking dragging people out of
Yeah.
their cars and
Yeah.
houses
Yeah,
and
yeah.
forcibly.
I saw one where there's a guy riding his bike.
Yeah, and he gets pushed
The guy
over.
just fucking
Yeah.
destroys
Yeah, why
him.
aren't those very same conscriptors on the front lines? Why they gotta go get 15-year-old kids?
Yeah, I mean, but that's
It's
happened
completely
also. I mean, the
insane what
I
has
think the
happened.
U.S. had mandatory conscription during the Vietnam War as well. No,
Well, they had a
Which was
draft.
wrong.
Yeah, which I guess is the same thing,
it's the
right?
same thing. Yeah, grab you and just fucking go.
I'm
Well,
not trying.
They weren't grabbing people off the streets.
not-
You would get a draft notice.
Yeah.
You know, you've been drafted by the United States
Yeah.
military. You are.
And
to
what
report
happens
here.
if you didn't go? You were a draft dodger and you end up
Yeah.
in jail.
Yeah, or you come to Canada.
I'm not trying to excuse any of their behaviors from both sides. Both sides have done fucked up shit. God knows. Okay, but like, why are we stirring the pot? Why are we throwing oil to the fire? Is what I am trying to say. Why?
think, yeah.
Why must we take this position where it clearly pisses people off? Like you have, like, it's so insane to me that because Trump doesn't want to give billions of aid to the Ukraine, you have the French president jumping in, the UK president prime minister, the Canadian prime minister jumping in saying, we're going to support you with boots on the ground. Are you fucking insane? Are you trying to cause a war of global
First of
scale?
all, how
Are
is
you
that decision
crazy?
being made without parliament?
Not just without parliament, without the people. You think Canadians want to go fight in a war in fucking
No, but there's never been a decision
Eastern
for
Europe?
Canada to
That's
go.
insane, dude.
There's never
what's
been
happening?
there's never been a decision by from any Canadian government to participate in a war without the approval of Parliament, unless I'm wrong. In the past, right?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. So what the fuck are you doing, promising troops on the ground if your Parliament is closed and you can't get the approval of your house? So I'm not so sure what Justin is doing. I think he knows he's on the way out, and I think he's trying to go on a high kind of
Yeah,
thing.
well, he was talking tough yesterday, and of course, all the all the Justin fans yesterday, all 7 of them, were talking
Anyways.
about what a great statesman-like address it was, and he's going out on a high note.
I couldn't stand him.
I want to
Oh, my
I want to get to the Liberal leadership
Oh, yeah.
race.
Before you get to that, so
Yeah.
I just want to say sorry. I got a little passionate there. I was yelling.
It's fine.
It's
yeah.
unprofessional of me.
spirited debate.
Yeah.
You
That's
understand?
all.
I would like to say that, George, I still love you,
I always
even
love
though
him.
you're wrong.
Well, you see, this is what I would like to see more of this, because rather than have people, sever relationships because they disagree
Yeah.
with politics or on politics, you guys just had a spirited disagreement. But you know why you're going to still be friends? Because we're sitting in the same fucking room and you're looking at each other in the fucking eye.
Yeah. And
having
we're gonna
your
blow each
disagreement.
other.
You're not behind a fucking computer screen going, fuck you, I'll never talk to you again, you fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I think, and I think just to finish, I think that we're all
Well
going to
said.
agree that we're at that point now where an agreement is close, and there has to be something. It would just, for me, my opinion, it would suck that agreement would give, would give Russia whatever, whether it's territory or because.
Yeah, but you got to make concessions to strike a deal, right? And if people stop dying, I think then that makes it a pretty good
Yeah.
deal.
Especially if you're in a position of weakness. You're in no position of strength
Yeah.
that overtake Russia.
Yeah.
Like, calm down, bro.
You know what's interesting, and we're gonna get to the Canadian thing. I was listening to the Polish. I don't even know why the fuck I go.
The Polish Prime Minister?
The Polish Prime Minister talking. And he's a conservative Prime Minister, I think, in Poland. Just got elected, I think, a couple of months ago. And he was saying, because obviously, there's this whole thing now, Europe against the U.S. And this is what troubles me a lot. And this is what I posted on, I think, Facebook or wherever the hell I posted. It worries me, and I fear that this positioning that the world leaders are taking, where we're distancing the U.S., whether it's the
Isolating the U.S.
yeah, you know what I mean. Whether the U.S. is doing it on its own because of his attitude, or because people are like, "Fuck this idiot," let's just decide without him, because this is what they did right last week.
I think Trump's goal
in
is to
England.
isolate the
They
United
can't
States.
do it. Yeah, I do too.
It's very
They can't-
dangerous.
they can't
It's
do
not the right
anything-
approach.
They can't
Yeah.
do anything.
It's not the right
without him.
approach.
I think
They
it's the
can't
right
do
approach.
anything
So
without him.
no, it's not the right approach to isolate the U.S. or the U.S. to isolate themselves.
Well, it's not the right approach for the world, but it's the right approach for the United States.
I disagree, but anyway.
get it.
So you had the Polish president coming out, and in that context, he's like, I don't understand. He goes, we are 500 million people asking help.
When he says we, he means Europe.
Yeah, EU, yeah. So we're 500 million people asking 340 million people to help us defeat 140 million Russians. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at it that way, it's like, yeah, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why can't you defend yourselves? Why would you need the 340
Well,
million?
I think because Russia militarily is stronger than all of the Ukraine and the EU combined.
No. I saw actually something in terms of who posted it. I'm going to send it to you. It has all the figures.
Well, apparently
Europe as a whole is militarily very strong.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard the British have like 4 tanks. Now they're going to send 25 tanks to Ukraine. The fucking Russians eat 25 tanks for lunch. Fuck.
And this is
I'm
what
gonna
we
find
know.
it. Hold on.
This is what we know. Russia, keep in mind, Russia hides a lot of information.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get to the kind of thing, and I'll.
Yeah,
send
I
you
want to
the,
talk about
free
I want to
information.
talk about the Liberal leadership race because you follow it a lot closer than I do, and you think Art Carney,
Art Carney. Yeah.
you think Mark Carney winning is a foregone conclusion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Why?
do. Why? Because I'm looking at the polls, and from all indications, it seems that that's what's happening. I'm talking to a lot of organizers on the ground that are just telling me, George, it's a done deal. I don't even know why we're having this race.
And these are people who are plugged in.
Yeah. The surprise, however, in this race, I'll have you know, is that Karina Gould is doing much better than people expected in terms of her fundraising and in terms of her support. And she's the left wing of
she's the
of
woke
party.
left of the Liberal Party.
But you know what? She assumes her beliefs, and good for her. I mean, I don't agree with that. But she's the only one that has the courage to say, no. This is what I think. And I think
So she's not just virtue signaling; she has the courage of her
Well,
convictions.
she's the only one in the debate that stood out. That stood out. Like, she's the only one that won't cut the carbon tax. What else was she against everyone else on? She's the one that instead of getting our NATO targets met by 2033, she wants to have it done by 2027. So invest more money. So she's much more into spending than the rest of them who want to kind of figure out a way of balancing the books. So she's the left wing of the party. She's doing much better than people expected. It wouldn't surprise me if she finishes second, by the way.
So where are we at in the leadership race?
I think there's just days left.
Procedurally, what's going to happen and when is it going to happen?
So this is what's going to. So Sunday they're electing their leader. I have a feeling that Carney's going to pass in the first round. There won't be a second round. He's
So Freeland's toast.
Yeah. And you know what? In numbers, I think Freeland is going to end up maybe not last. I think Bayliss is going to end up last, but she's going to be before last. Assuming that.
So there's 4 of them, eh?
There's 4.
There's Carney.
There's Frank Bayliss. What's her face? Freeland. Carney
and Bayliss is like
Gould.
A wild card, eh?
I mean, look. Let's just forget Bayliss. Let's get him out of the equation.
Who is he?
Good effort, good ideas though.
Who is
Bayliss.
he? Former MP who's a businessman.
Yeah, exactly.
And a very successful businessman.
Very successful businessman. Yeah, good for him. He ran. He got his name known. I think the last thing left for him to do is just to run again. You got your visibility. Run as an MP now, and
So it's a building block for him.
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, or else you did it for what?
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. So Sunday.
So let's say we exclude Bayliss because I mean nobody really knows him. Freeland is last, Gould, and then Mark Carney. In my
so
opinion.
Mark Carney wins the Liberal.
So he wins on
leadership.
Sunday.
Then what?
He needs to go to the Governor General to officially become the Prime Minister. You need to get sworn in, obviously. So that's going to take 1 or 2 days. Let's say.
And have we ever had an unelected
Never.
Prime Minister in the history of this country?
No, it's the first time. Isn't it something? It's crazy. It's crazy. We're gonna have a Prime Minister that wasn't elected by the people of Canada.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a Prime Minister that was elected by Liberals only, by Liberal members. It's really something.
So he gets sworn in.
So he gets
Then what?
So 1 or 2 days after. So I think by Monday or Tuesday, the latest, he's at the Governor General, gets sworn in. Then there's 2 options. You either continue the mandate because now you're the Prime Minister, which means you would have
the
to.
mandate could go to October.
It could
right?
technically go to October. Parliament is closed until the 29th of March. So, there's that. Or option 2, which I think is the more likely one. how are you going to be the prime minister of a country without having a seat in parliament? It's impossible. It's impossible. We're not talking about a party leader.
When Parliament reconvenes,
What are you going
it
to do?
would have to reconvene without the Prime Minister.
Yeah. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. So, I mean, we've seen that with party leaders, like Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, for example, who was elected as a party leader. He didn't have a seat in the House. Éric Duhem, same thing. You know, that happens. It's normal. They wait for an election. They run. If they get elected, good. If not, whatever, you know. But to be in power, in government,
Right.
that
So
never
you're
happens.
talking about those two examples you just gave.
They're in opposition.
Yeah.
Their party had a leadership race, and it was someone from the outside that won. He doesn't have a seat in the House, so he's there every day, whatever. He does his job, but he doesn't get actual space and talking, any room for questions and stuff in the House. But that happens. That's very normal. But a premier or a prime minister, I mean, you got to be in the House.
Yeah.
You got to have a seat. You know, you can't do without it. So that's why I think that as soon as he gets sworn in as prime minister, I think probably either the same day or a couple days later, we're going into election.
Okay.
We're going into
And how
election.
long will the campaign
It's
be?
30 days usually. It's
Yeah.
30 days minimum.
Yeah. And where would he run?
I don't know. That's an interesting thing. Probably Ontario, maybe,
Yeah,
or maybe
he would-
Edmonton. He's from Edmonton.
Would he
That's where he launched
politically?
his,
Would it make
race.
sense for him to look for a safe riding? I guess it would. Eh?
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah.
But the leaders of the party usually get a little bonus, you know, because of the visibility.
Because they're the leader.
I mean, look, Philippe Couillard ran in fucking Robertval,
Yeah.
you know, and he won. Like, what? And everyone's like, why are you going to Robertval? Because when he came in as the leader of the Liberal Party, I remember
Of Quebec.
Of Quebec,
Yeah.
he won. He ran in Outremont. I think I remember Outremont. And then he switched and he brought it to Robertval. And everybody was wondering, what the fuck are you going to do in Robertval? You know? Anyway.
Is Robertval traditionally separatist country?
Yeah, it's PQ. It's like
Yeah.
Saint Jean. It's up in.
Oh, really,
Yeah, Robertval. So, but he won. So leaders of the party usually get this boost. I mean, Mulcair won in Outremont for the NDP.
Yeah.
What? You know? What the fuck? You
That's
know?
a double whammy.
What the hell is
Yeah.
that? You know. So anyway, so I think he's gonna find a riding. I'm assuming probably in Edmonton because that's where he started his leadership race from. In Edmonton, maybe he's gonna go back home or probably somewhere in Ontario. I don't know. In any case, I think that by end of next week, we're probably gonna be in elections,
Okay.
and that would bring us. So that would be what's the calendar? Yeah. So the 9th, they have elections. I think by Monday, Tuesday, the latest, he's going to the Governor General. Probably by the end of that week, I'm assuming he's going to drop. We're going to go to elections. So a month later would bring us 14th. It's usually on a Monday election. So April 19th, let's say.
And so, given the
Worst
gift,
case, the 26th of April. What am I talking about? I'm looking at the wrong month here. 14. So 14th of April, or the latest, the 21st. Let's see. Whatever.
given the gift that Trump has handed the Liberals in the form of the tariff war, is a conservative majority no longer a foregone conclusion?
That's so interesting. And 2 weeks ago, we were neck and neck. Carney is the savior, changed the whole thing, blah, blah, blah. We actually had the discussion with Salim on our podcast, and I said to him that it's just numbers. It's just a poll, and it's normal that the Liberals are that high in the poll, and good for them that they've managed to do that, to kind of inverse that whole downward spiral that they were heading in. And I said that it's only temporary because it's part of the leadership race. It's normal that they're getting all this
That they get a
visibility.
surge.
So it's normal.
Yeah.
I go, I don't see it lasting. There was a poll yesterday, I think it was a Léger poll, that confirms that not only did they plateau, but they lost, I think, 5 points with Carney as a leader.
So, according to that poll, the Conservatives would still win a majority.
Yeah.
A
So
substantial majority?
maybe not as much as it was before,
Yeah.
but he should get a comfortable majority.
How do you think Poilievre has handled the whole Trump and tariff thing? Because it seems to me he's kept a relatively low profile.
He pulled back, and it's funny. I read you the text message I sent last week to the conservative insider, and I go, dude, why aren't you guys doing any media? We don't see. And he goes, George, sometimes you gotta give him rope,
Yeah.
and eventually they'll hang themselves with it. And I think that's what they did. At the same time, though, to be honest, the reading I get is that he was completely thrown off by this whole thing because their strategy was Trudeau bad, with all the
Common sense.
slogans,
Yeah.
axe the
sense
tax.
conservatives, yeah.
They had their backup plan was carbon tax, Carney.
Yeah.
They weren't. I don't think they were expecting to see that kind of reversal in the numbers. Not only that, I don't think anyone was expecting the whole Trump versus Canada thing,
Right.
which has completely shifted. Nobody cares anymore about.
Yeah, it's totally changed the landscape.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
now it's we gotta face Trump, and who's the best suited to do that, right? And that's where a profile like Mark Carney's kind of stands out because of his experience. I mean, he's not a part-time theater teacher, right? I mean, the guy has significant experience. He understands markets, politics. I'm not so sure he understands it. So they had to shift their strategy.
Yeah.
I think they did that, and they caught Mark Carney lying during the debate with. I don't know if you saw that happening with the shareholders.
No, but I said there were some very funny. Memes on Twitter with the hashtag Carney liar or liar Carney or something.
What happened was
very
after
funny.
the English debate, a journalist asked him about because he was the chairman of the board of Brookfield. I think it's like some investment firm, and he was the chairman of the board. And they asked him a question about him supporting Canadian jobs when the firm that he was the chairman of moved the head office to New York. And the journalist was so smart. He goes, New York, the home
You know
state
who
of
the
Donald
journalist
Trump.
was?
I can't remember.
Was it a Canadian journalist?
Yeah. And he goes, how, what's your reaction about, you just spoke about, during the debate about creating jobs and investing in infrastructure and all that stuff. And the company that you were chairman of just recently decided to move its head office to Donald Trump's state, New York. they threw that in there. And he came out and said, no, that decision, I wasn't there when that decision was made. And obviously I'm here to support Canadian jobs. And this is what you have to give to these fucking researchers, man. And I've dealt with them. We call them garbage man. We call them fishermen because they have all this shit just standing by. I don't know. They spend hours just looking at shit, researching.
Trawling.
They're
Not trolling, trawling.
They're incredible. So as soon as that came out, they had the actual fucking letter that Mark Carney signed himself in December of last year, like a couple months ago, advising the shareholders that they made a decision to move the headquarters to New York, and that's fine. I mean, you're looking out for the best interest of your shareholders. If you think that moving to New York was the best strategy, whatever. He did that because
But
that was
lying
his
about
job.
it was not a smart
Yeah.
political move.
Come out
Yeah.
and say the fucking truth, dude.
Yeah.
And they fucking caught him, and he went silent for a good 3 days. Mark Carney. He went off the fucking radar, and then he came back and clarified. I didn't follow what
So
he said.
the conservatives
So-
will probably use that during the election
Absolutely,
campaign.
they already did.
And,
They already
and
did.
the liberals, I assume, are going to paint Polyev as a Trump lapdog.
Yeah.
That will be there.
But I don't know if you saw this last week. The journalist asked Donald Trump about Poilievre, and he goes, "Yeah, I don't like that guy. He's just not MAGA enough. Everyone thinks they can stand up to me, and they think they can come and win, but they all fail."
I don't know if I just said the conservatives will paint Polyev as a lapdog. If I did, I meant the liberals, obviously.
So immediately Poilievre took that and goes, "Well, shut the fuck up, liberals. Even the guy that you're comparing me to doesn't like me, and I'm fine with that."
So he spun that to his
Yeah,
advantage.
yeah,
Good
he
for
goes,
him.
You see that?
That's
I'm not
funny.
MAGA enough for
Yeah.
Donald Trump, so shut the fuck up. I'm not mini Trump. Apparently, I'm not good enough for him, and that's fine. I don't work for him. I don't need to satisfy him. His speech
All
yesterday.
this sounds very sexual, by the way.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw Poilievre's speech.
No, I heard it was
yesterday.
a good one, though.
I mean, come on. Fucking Trudeau, man. I just can't stand the theatrics anymore. It's just time for him to leave. I cannot wait for the 9th. I can't. And I know I'm being very mean, and I know the guy fucking personally too. I just cannot stand it anymore. Canadians, we fight and we will win. Shut the fuck up, man. Just stop it already. I can't. And you had the other guy that came out and goes, "This is what we need to do. Step 1, boom, 2, 3, 4, 5. He listed fucking
Who are
point
you
4.
talking about?
Poilievre.
Okay.
He had like 7-point plan on how to attack the U.S. and how to benefit Canadian. And this is what you
How
need.
to fight back on tariffs. you mean.
Yeah, man. And, structured, proven.
Not just platitudes. Trudeau's the king of the platitude.
Damn, I can't wait for him to leave.
He's the king of the platypus.
That too. Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see. My argument was as soon as this race is over and Carney's going to have to face the real, like the politics now. Because now you're just talking to your liberal friends. Obviously, they're going to support you. You're popular. You're good looking. You're smart. You have a good head on your shoulders. You have all that experience worldwide. You know what you're talking about financially, blah, blah, blah. Makes sense? Okay, good. You find yourself a leader. But once that is over, once that door closes and now you're in the arena, you got to fucking learn to skate, buddy.
Yeah.
And you're going against experienced guys. You're going up against a Poilievre. You're going against an Yves-François Blanchet. Singh, I'm getting him out of the equation because he sucks.
Yeah.
But just those two, he's going to have, like, the politician, Mark Carney, is not up to par.
And
He's going to get destroyed.
so he's going to get his feet held to the fire when they debate.
Well, first of all, he sucked during the debate. I mean,
And that was within his own party.
within his own party,
Yeah.
and this is not just me. Every media that I follow has said that Karina Gould won both the French and the English debates. And I agree with it 100%. Even though I don't agree with her presentation, her facts, her communication skills, she was... so he sucked. He sucked. Even the English debate, he sucked. He's going to get eaten alive in a debate. It's not going to be pretty. The liberals think that they're out of the woods. A national campaign is something completely different. And he has no idea what he's doing. He has no idea. Like, think about it. Mark Carney is being thrown onto the ice. It's the end of the third period, and you're going into overtime. And they're telling you, okay, go.
Put the new guy in.
Yeah. Go
Yeah.
score the winning goal. Come on, buddy.
By the way, the Aquarian brought something up that I completely forgot about. It was 10 years of shelling ethnic Russians in the Donbass by Ukraine, in parentheses NATO, that caused the regions to join the Russian Federation. That is why Russia invaded.
Can't go back down that rabbit hole. I gotta go.
yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
pee.
Yeah.
It's 11:33.
It's
and I gotta
11:33.
pee. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you
Yeah.
for tuning in.
That was fun. There's so much to talk about these days.
And there's going to be more to
And
talk
more,
about
yeah.
in the coming
Yeah,
weeks as well.
this will go either one of two ways for everyone. And I'm talking about, when I say everyone, I mean the planet Earth, everyone.
It's the planet Earth.
Either we're going to completely annihilate each other, or we're gonna come through this.
No, we won't.
I kind of hope we annihilate each other. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of paying taxes. Is what I'm trying to say.
we're gonna become responsible adults.
I think
and
no.
sit down
I
and
think
talk
I think
and get ourselves out of this fucking misery. that
yeah,
we're in.
nah.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. Patreon.com/Pantelis. Subscribe on this channel. Follow the Poseidon 69. Standing by the Terry and Ted podcast. Go subscribe, support that. If you do understand French or speak French, politiquement parlant is where you'll find my stuff. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you next week. Ciao, everyone.
And since